Welcome back to Marathon Motivations. I'm your host, Thomas Smith, president and co-founder of the Thomas E. Smith Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to advancing essential care and support for individuals and families living with paralysis. As we celebrate the 130th running of the Boston Marathon, I'm excited to once again take part. This year I set out to complete my 8th Boston since sustaining 3 separate paralyzing injuries. Each year that I train for Boston, I continue to discover remarkable and deeply inspiring reasons why runners take on the challenge of the Boston Marathon. In this episode, I'm honored to share the stories of 3 extraordinary individuals who are making a difference and driving meaningful change through their own marathon motivations. A 2-time World Marathon Challenge champion, Belmont, Mass. native Becca Pizzi has redefined endurance by running marathons on all 7 continents. As a premier global runner and record setter, she has truly established herself as a champion on every level. She was inspired to take up running after witnessing her first Boston Marathon.
My grandmother took me to Heartbreak Hill, and I remember getting a high five from one of the runners, and I was like, I'm never washing my hand again. This is so awesome. I'm gonna someday run the Boston Marathon. And then when I was 17 years old, I had an opportunity to run for Liberty Run Club, and I was so excited, and I always make sure to high five kids on the course now, any race, because you never know where that high five is gonna lead them.
Among her remarkable achievements was the monumental feat of running 50 marathons in 50 different states.
So I started the 50 states journey 10 years ago. I remember being at 7 states and thinking, okay, there's 50 states, I could run a marathon in all 50 states. I finished in Jackson Hole, Wyoming with 50 of my friends and family there. The race gave me bib number 50. It was a fairy tale ending. I won the marathon. My daughter ran through the finish line tape with me. My husband and dad were holding the finish line tape. It was just a day I will never ever forget. I was crying at the finish line thinking, wow, that was an incredible journey.
Held in the heat of Hawaii, the Kona Ironman is widely regarded as one of the most brutal one-day endurance tests on the planet, making it a dream addition to Becca's bucket list.
I'm always looking for the next challenge, and I saw on ESPN Kona Ironman World Championships, and I thought that would be really awesome. It's a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile bike ride, and then a marathon. And I trained really, really hard for a year and got in touch with Kona and was able to race it, and it was awesome.
Becca lives for extreme challenges, and the moment she heard about the World Marathon Challenge, she knew she had to take it on.
So the World Marathon Challenge, 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days, I read about it and I thought, oh man, I was born to run this race. Living in New England, I have run in every weather conditions. I have a shot at this, I can do it. And I have a shot at making history to show the world that you can do anything you want if you believe in yourself. So I called race director Dave McGilvery and I said, what do you think about this? And he said, oh, I think you should do it. I think you'd be crazy not to. And I said, I'm feeling a lot of pressure. He said, pressure is a privilege. And that just stuck with me. I had never run a marathon on another continent, and it was a very different experience for me, but I wanted that world record really bad. The race begins in Antarctica, so you're really mentally and physically preparing to run on a glacier. And that wound up being my favorite one, Antarctica. I stepped off the plane and I thought, I am so lucky to have my health and to be able to represent my country and to be here. So I just took one continent at a time, and I had family and friends on every continent to show up and support me and cheer for me. It went Antarctica, Chile, Miami, Madrid, Morocco, Dubai, and it ended in Australia in 7 days. To set a world record, I felt it was the best day of my life, second to my daughter being born. It was just something that I worked really, really, really hard for. In 2018, Tom Brady's company, TB12, reached out and they said, if you'd like to run this race again, we'll support you. So I said, it works for Tom Brady, it's definitely gonna work for me. And I lowered my record by a lot. The finish of the 2018 was in Miami, and having friends and family, a huge amount of people at the finish line, I was like, I'm gonna get there first no matter what. And I did, and it was having my daughter cross the finish line and there for me the second time was awesome. And she's my first hug at the finish line. She graduates this year. She wants to be a nurse, and she is so proud of me. If any time I say to her, do you mind, I'm gonna go to the North Pole, or do you mind? Before I even finish my sentence, Mom, yes, you can do it, I believe in you. So I feel very lucky to be her mom.
While she has explored the far corners of the world, she treasures life's simple pleasures above all else.
I got to throw out the first pitch at Fenway Park, which was wild. There were 35,000 people there, and that's where my husband asked me to marry him, on the mound in front of those 35,000 people, and of course I said easy yes. I have my own ice cream flavor named after me at Moosey's, the Becca 7. Like, what an honor to have my own ice cream flavor named after me. I love ice cream. Having a parade, I have a key to the city with February 4th is Becca Pizzi Day.
Becca is eagerly returning to the Boston Marathon, just as she does every year.
This is my 22nd consecutive Boston Marathon and my 25th overall. There's nothing I would rather be doing on Patriots Day than running the Boston Marathon. It is absolutely electric. It's a party for our city. I feel very lucky to be me. I have created a running career out of doing what I love. I love to run, and I love to travel, and I love to tell my story. The bottom line is you can do anything you put your mind to if you believe in yourself. I always say sign up for a 5K or a marathon and believe in yourself and take chances. What do you have to lose?
This episode of Marathon Motivations is brought to you in part by Keches Law, New England's injury attorneys since 1986, and by the Thomas E. Smith Foundation, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to advance essential care and support for individuals and families living with paralysis.
Here comes Chris Herren again. Nuggets again, running. Mercer.
As one of Massachusetts' premier high school basketball legends and a former McDonald's All-American, Chris Herren starred at the collegiate level and played for the Boston Celtics. His NBA career was ultimately derailed by his struggles with injury and addiction.
You know, from the outside looking in, I was this special talent, right? I just never felt that. You know, when you battle in the shadows, in the darkness, addiction, it's very isolating. I remember going to a Rolling Stone shoot. I hadn't slept, you know, and most people would be like, wow, you got, you know, Rolling Stones in town to shoot you, and I came into that photo shoot with no sleep under my belt, cocaine all night, alcohol. It's scary, right? You know, like something that I should have like really truly cherished and appreciated that moment. Those moments blew past me. I got introduced to OxyContin. It's a bad drug. It was a drug that put its claws into me immediately. And, you know, I was spending $20,000 a month on pills. And here I am playing in the NBA. To people who know where I've been or have been where I've been, it's completely a normal thing to do. And here I am in the locker room, and Rick Pitino says, hey, listen, you're going tonight, be ready. I was probably 8 hours out of taking my last OxyContin, so the withdrawals were starting to kick in. And I just jumped on the phone immediately and made sure that one of my guys brought up pills for me so my body could operate in that game, so it could function in that game. You know, people often say to me, did you ever play high? And I said, you know, I don't like the word high. I wouldn't have been able to play if I wasn't. I am so grateful for my accomplishments on the basketball court. I never lose sight that the game of basketball gave me this platform. Becoming a Boston Celtic, playing for the Denver Nuggets, being an All-American in high school. It was all the build-up to lead us to this moment.
The 2011 ESPN 30 for 30 documentary, Unguarded, brought crucial attention to addiction through Chris's resonating story.
That 30 for 30 changed my life, you know, like in so many ways. But the beauty of it is, and I really didn't have any I didn't think this prior to making the documentary, that documentary is gonna live in every treatment center in America. And you know, wherever I go, someone comes up to me in an airport or at an event and say, hey, when I was in treatment, I watched your 30 for 30. There's no greater accomplishment for me that's where that documentary has landed, and that's where it's living now. You know, at 32 years old, when I overdosed the last time, I had this overwhelming feeling of shame. Look who I've become, and look at the burden I am on the people who care about me. And I just wanted to end it. And by the grace of God, I was intervened on and helped, and you know, that's history. Listen, I am who I am today, and I'll never lose sight of that because of a family, and that's the Mullen family. Chris Mullen, Liz Mullen did something for me that I couldn't do for myself, and they navigated an opportunity to walk into a treatment center at 32 years old. And I don't believe I'd be alive today if it wasn't for them. When I walked into that treatment center, I said to myself, like, Chris Mullen, the basketball player, you know, like, he was a hero of mine. I just wanted to be Chris Mullen, the guy who called me in my worst moment. And, you know, I laid in bed and I dreamt of that. You know, it was a dream to be somebody's Mullen. And I've been able to do that successfully, right? So Herren Project 2011, over the last 14, 15 years, I've been that person for thousands and thousands and thousands of people all over the country.
Although others supported Chris on his road to recovery, his wife Heather provided unwavering support, staying by his side through it all.
I thank God I met her when I was 12, 13 years old, because she knew who the real me was at that time, prior to drugs and alcohol. And I thank God every day she stuck around, you know, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be sharing these moments with my children that I've shared for the last 17 and a half years, because she had every right to walk away. But she dug in, and it's special. Christopher was 9, Samantha was 7, and Drew was a newborn when I got sober. So, you know, thankfully, we've lived 2 very different lives.
On Friday, Herren was arrested in Portsmouth on drug charges. Heroin residue was found in his car.
Just like some of you, I walked into this talk with the attitude, sat as far away from the speaker as I could, looked down and said, I'll never be that guy. Anybody can drink in the basements. Anybody can smoke blunts. Not everybody can walk away, though. I know I couldn't.
You know, most parents, you know, when they cross that bridge, it's who you getting it from, who you with, where were you, how much did you do, what did you take, and never why. The why is never asked, and the why is incredibly important in this process. We're showing our kids what drugs do to you, rather than understanding why they're starting them. And that's just kind of been the pivot for me over the years, is focusing on the first day, not the worst day. The preventative side has become my purpose, right? Like that's my heart. Like I'm in that with these kids every day doing this.
Chris brought his vision to life in 2018 by opening the Herren Wellness Center.
You know, it was a dream come true. I went to bed many nights dreaming of this and opening a place like this. And, you know, at 10 years sober, I made it happen. You know, I've been so close to recovery for the last 18 years through my foundation and speaking, but I wanted to be in it and to watch the transformation of their life happen here is just, it's incredible for me. I believe I have 17 and a half years today because of service work. I believe I have 17 and a half years today because of helping others and being part of their story. This place will always be in their story. And that's the power of recovery. So the Herren Wellness Center it's a recovery center, it's a wellness center. This was my dream. Recovery can land on people differently. And I have an obligation to get the people who walk into this center sober. There's many pathways, and you know, we provide every single pathway to recovery at Herren Wellness. And I wanted to provide a lot of holistic care, but I wanted to add more, and providing them with massage therapy, breath work, acupuncture, yoga, meditation. I believe life is wins, right? It's a bunch of small wins. And this community wakes up every morning at 7 o'clock, and every single one of them in that gym getting a win. You know, there's 40 people from all over the country who believe in this place. 40 families right now that are home believing in this place. The fact that people walk into this place at some of their worst moments, lowest moments in their life, and give me and our team the responsibility to kind of put that back together is incredible.
12 years after running the 2014 Boston Marathon, Chris is training to tackle the race again in 2026.
Boston Marathon, Bank of America, like they afford us an opportunity to raise a substantial amount of money to help others. And I don't take that lightly. Thousands of lives have been changed over the last 14 years through my foundation because of that funding. I just want to kick ass. I want to raise a bunch of money. I want to help a bunch of people. It's that simple to me. After experiencing the Boston Marathon, I don't care if you finish in 10 hours. Like 26 miles on your feet is no joke. So I'm looking forward to it. And you know, this year doing it with my wife and training together and being out on the road together makes it all that more special. I don't worry about time. I just worry about finishing. It's special, it's big, it's an opportunity for me to give back, to help others, to kind of meet their moment. I'm doing it with my wife, as I mentioned, but the fact that I can go out for 2 hours with my wife, shoulder to shoulder, and talk and run is incredible. Honestly, there's multiple reasons, right? One is, most importantly, is to help others, right? To impact and make a difference in people's lives. But I want to accomplish this with my wife, right? We've had a lot of losses in our life and we've had a lot of wins. And this will be a huge accomplishment for us to do that together. As I said, and I don't take this lightly, we have done incredible work here. Herren Wellness, Herren Project, incredible work. But the fact that families believe in me and believe in our team, like that's just incredible, you know? Like at their lowest moment, their most vulnerable moment, they're saying like, please step in, intervene and help us. So, you know, to be here for 8 years and to have, you know, thousands of people celebrate recovery because of this place, gosh, I mean, that's the dream come true.
Brian Oates has combined his love for golf with his passion for running. Golf Fights Cancer, a foundation he co-founded 23 years ago, is dedicated to raising funds for cancer-related charities and research organizations, and it is consistently one of the premier fundraisers in the Boston Marathon charity program.
My first race was 1995, and I didn't know what I didn't know, and I just, you know, kind of ran without a formal program and did my best and finished, I think, under 4 hours. You have to do the work, so it is like, you can't take a test and not study and expect to do well. And so I learned to get to the starting line healthy is important, and then to get to the finish line is the ultimate goal. My friend Jay Monahan, he was running the Deutsche Bank Championship at the time, and we had a friend who passed away. Rob Stevens was this guy's name, and Rob had 3 little kids, and Jay and I said we should do something for Rob and his family. And then we kind of took a step back after that and said, let's just not do this for Rob. You know, we know lots of folks that would be willing to be supportive and get involved, and let's broaden the kind of the aperture of what we might address, and Golf Fights Cancer was kind of born out of that. We started 2004, super proud of our little group, and I still refer to it as our little group because it's a community of people that are inspired to make a difference, and I'm lucky to be involved with it, and I tell people all the time that I meet more good people through Golf Fights Cancer than any other part of my life, so I'm very fortunate to be involved. Our plan was always to kind of meet unmet need. So the cancer care experience is so wide, and a lot of folks have personal connections to it. It can be overwhelming for families, from costs to time consuming to missing a job. We've worked with over 100 different organizations. So we identify people that are running really meaningful programs and happy to support them. Things like transportation, things like amenities, you know, when you're going through cancer care. But it is, you know, prevention and detection. It is patient experience, it's research. And over time, we've been really thoughtful of how we give out our grants and who gets the money. The Boston Marathon is an amazing event. Special kudos and thanks to Bank of America for really leaning into the charity portion of the event. Our group is one of 300 plus charities that are involved. The meaningful part are the people who have never run a marathon, who are raising money for a cause that's important to them, who are trying to inspire. That for me is the heart and soul of the race, is kind of the fundraising. So this will be my 30th Boston Marathon. The running joke is 30 marathons, 0 wins. We have 19 people on the Golf Fights Cancer team this year, including my son, who's training out in San Francisco. You know, for me, one of the highlights of the marathon every year is a family photo at mile 20. So I have been doing this for a long time. Living here in Newton, I'm lucky I get to train on ComAv, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people out there every Saturday kind of sharing in our experience. Checking in from the Johnny Kelly statue, young at heart. I definitely identify with the old Johnny Kelly, not the young Johnny Kelly. I don't think I'm going to make 58 marathons, but glad to have today's 16-mile training run done. Excited to see so many people on the carriage road, all these charities out here. It's a great sense of community. Beautiful day to run. So everybody has their own personal connection to cancer, and so we try to empower and enable and inspire people that want to get involved, and be it running the marathon, or we have a golf marathon, which I may graduate to one day, where we can still peer-to-peer fundraise, but you get to take a cart and listen to music. The golf marathon is similar to the Boston Marathon. It's a fun day. It's an amazing community. People come and share their experiences, and they don't have to get sweaty and chafed like you do in Boston. We run a series of events throughout the year. We try to inspire and enable and empower people that want to make a difference to give them a chance to do so. The best place to learn more about our group is on our website, golffightscancer.org, and it gives a really good job of telling our story, kind of shows what our community is like, and then we'll lay out some events and opportunities for people to get involved.
These remarkable stories are only a few of the many reasons runners are inspired to take on the Boston Marathon. I'm Thomas Smith. Thank you for joining us, and I hope these stories help you find your own marathon motivation. This episode of Marathon Motivations is brought to you in part by Keches Law, New England's injury attorneys since 1986, and by the Thomas E. Smith Foundation, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to advance essential care and support for individuals and families living with paralysis.